Before we begin testing the voltage, let's first wear gloves for protection. Then, disassemble the case of the switch mode power supply. Once everything is set, connect the plug to the outlet. To test the AC input, I'll set my multimeter to 500 volt AC limit. I can measure the AC input on the thermistor, fuse, capacitor, or on the input of the full bridge rectifier. Next, measuring the voltage of the first filter capacitor requires me to set my multimeter at 600 volt DC limit. I can measure the DC voltage on the input of the full bridge rectifier or on the collector of the first transistor and emitter of the second transistor. Measuring the DC pulse will also require 600 volt DC limit, so no changes will be made on the multimeter. This can be done by measuring the voltage on the collector and emitter of the second transistor. Finally, measuring the second filter will only need a 20 volt limit on my multimeter. This can be done by measuring the exposed wires which are in parallel to the second filter capacitor. To make sure the measurement we've done is correct, I'll measure the voltage of the output using 20 volt DC limit. While the AC input will be measured by 500 volt AC limit. We can now disconnect the plug from the output. Before reassembling the case, let's discharge the first and second filter capacitor.
Bago tayo mag-test sa voltage, magsuot po muna tayo ng gloves for safety and i-prepare po yung multi-tester.
So, yung first po natin na iti-test is AC input. So, yung multi-tester, yung range selector, isiset po natin siya sa 500 AC volts. So, iti-test po natin siya sa fuse and thermistor dahil dun siya nakaparallel yung AC input.
And next po is yung filter capacitor. Then sa filter capacitor, isiset po natin siya sa multi-tester sa 311 DC. And dun sa, itetest ko po siya sa rectifier. So dun sa magkabilang dulo, dun siya napaparallel yung filter capacitor. Sa transistor po, dito ko po siya itetest. So, ilalagay ko po yung range selector sa multi-tester sa 311 DC volts. And lastly po is yung sa secondary filter capacitor. So, ilalagay ko po yung range selector So, 20 volts po yung ilalagay ko sa multitester. Dun sa secondary filter capacitor. After na tapos na lahat i-test, tatanggalin na po natin yung plug. Then, after nun, mag-discharge po tayo.
After discharging, we can now reassemble the case on the switch mode power supply.